Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Let's just dive right into this, because today we're looking at some of the most dramatic, sweeping eschatological prophecies ever recorded. We're going to examine the specific narrations of Imam Ali regarding the end times, and how two ancient neighboring cities in Iraq, Kufa and Al-Hira, become the absolute epicenter of the apocalypse, of utopian governance, and eventually the literal resurrection. It's a massive story, so let's map out exactly how this timeline unfolds. Here is our roadmap for today. We're breaking this down into a 5-movement journey. First, the expanded capital. Second, the utopian governance. Then we'll explore the sacred geography, take a step back to witness the Great Tribulation, and finally end with the resurrection. Starting right off with Movement 1, the expanded capital. What's absolutely staggering here is the sheer scale of the urban transformation. In the narrations, Imam Ali essentially stands at the edge of Kufa, points toward the neighboring city of Al-Hira, and declares that in the end times, these two separate locations are going to become a single, seamlessly connected megacity. It's going to be so incredibly dense that just a single cubit of land between the two cities will actually sell for dinars. And to really wrap your head around the scale of this population boom, just think of the number 500. According to the narration, a colossal new mosque is going to be built in Al-Hira, featuring literally 500 doors. Now, why such an enormous structure? Well, because the existing Great Mosque of Kufa, which historically is already massive, will simply be way too narrow to accommodate the sheer volume of people in the Mahdi's era. In fact, 12 just imams will pray in it, and 4 great mosques will be built for this expanded region. The current Kufa mosque is actually going to be considered the smallest of them. The geographical scale we're looking at here is just mind-blowing. Moving right along to Movement 2, the utopian governance. So the crucial point here is exactly how the Mahdi governs once that era of tribulation has passed, and he makes Kufa his home base. He doesn't just rule by issuing, sweeping administrative decrees. He governs through exhaustive personal restitution. It's a step-by-step process. First, he frees all Muslim slaves, literally buying their freedom. Then he ensures every single debtor has their debt paid off. Step 3, he returns every grievance or stolen right back to its rightful owner. Step 4, he pays blood money directly to the families of every person who was wrongfully killed, and he even attaches dependents in the giving. By the time we reach the end of this sequence, the texts say he has completely filled the earth with justice and equity, replacing the oppression and tyranny that plagued it before. It is a deeply, deeply restorative vision of leadership. And because of this exhaustive justice, Kufa basically transforms into the ultimate sanctuary. Imam Ali refers to Kufa as the spaciousness of Noah and a good, pure land. It becomes this safe haven where no one from the family of Muhammad is killed. That historical and spiritual link to the spacious dwelling of Noah is highly symbolic here. It represents a place of ultimate refuge and safety from the proverbial floods of the world. That brings us to Movement 3, the sacred geography. Here we have one of the most striking dual pronouncements from the text. Imam Ali pauses at the current mosque of Kufa. Now, according to the sources, it was actually rebuilt by a tyrant who misaligned it from its original design. So Ali issues a stark warning, saying, "Woe to your builder with baked bricks, the changer of the Qibla of Noah." But notice how he immediately follows that up with a blessing. He says, "Blessed is he who witnesses your destruction with the Qaim." The prophecy clearly states that the Mahdi, the Qaim, will completely demolish the current mosque, along with the houses of tyrants built around it, and then rebuild it precisely upon its first foundation, that original sacred alignment of Noah. And this geographic cleansing actually extends way beyond Kufa. The texts describe an apocalyptic event known as the sinking of Basra. The narration states that the Mahdi, referred to as the greatest truthful one, marches to the city of Basra equipped with the Ark and the staff of Moses. Upon his resolve, the entire city of Basra just sinks into a newly formed deep sea. The visual the text gives us is incredible. Absolutely nothing remains of the city except its mosque, which is left floating on the surface of the water like the breast of a ship. But before we see that utopian capital, we have to look at Movement 4, the Great Tribulation. Before the era of justice, a totally ruthless figure known as the Sufyani launches a devastating military campaign. If you trace his terrifying path, he dispatches his army from Damascus, marches east into Iraq to Zawra, which we know as Baghdad, and then the army just pivots directly south to plunge straight toward Kufa. The sources say they come from the direction of Hajar on swift horses, led by a fierce military commander and a terrible, evil-named youth. The sheer brutality of the Sufyani's campaign is captured by one staggering number: 70,000. According to Imam Ali's narration, the Sufyani's army slaughters 70,000 people in Baghdad alone, and the source texts go on to detail horrific acts, including the ripping open of 300 pregnant women. These incredibly dark details are explicitly there in the text to establish the absolute unyielding ruthlessness of the Sufyani's assault before he even reaches the gates of Kufa. When that army finally does besiege Kufa, the signs of the assault are devastating. The narrations predict intense bombardment, the literal destruction of the corners of the city's alleys, mosques being completely suspended from use for 40 nights, and opposing banners fluttering around the great mosque. The texts describe an occupying force that spares absolutely no one. There's this one chilling anecdote that notes a man might cautiously pass by a discarded whip in the street without daring to touch it, only for a passing soldier to spot a small boy nearby and kill him without a second thought. The text grimly points out that in this chaos, both the killer and the killed are in the fire. Yet, right in the middle of all this horrific carnage, the narrations provide a crucial sliver of hope. A man from Kufa manages to lead desperate survivors to a specific location, known simply as the Wall. The prophecy offers a very strict guarantee here. Whoever manages to take refuge at this wall of safety will be spared from the Sufyani's massacre. It represents this ultimate test of endurance and faith for the people of Kufa during the siege. Finally, we reach the eschatological climax of the explainer. Movement 5, the resurrection. Listen to how this fascinating sequence unfolds. According to Imam Ali, Kufa isn't just the site of a siege or a new capital, it is the literal stage where the dead will rise in an event known as Al-Raja, or the return. It happens in phases. Phase 1, groups of the resurrected rise from their graves, answering a divine call by shouting, "At your service, O caller of Allah." Phase 2, these resurrected individuals physically permeate the paths and streets of Kufa. Phase 3, they draw their swords, resting them on their shoulders, ready to strike down disbelievers and historical tyrants. And Phase 4, this supernatural event fulfills the divine promise of granting the righteous succession upon the earth. Imam Ali marvels at this in the text, even referring to himself as the master of the returns. So, I want to leave you with a provocative question today. If the city of Kufa is prophesied to host both the world's most devastating apocalyptic siege and its ultimate utopian resurrection, what does that reveal about the extreme cycles of ruin and justice in eschatology? It's a profound thought that really shows just how central this specific geography is to the end times narrative. It's the ultimate crucible for humanity. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll see you next time.